Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes take a breath, a little bit of beauty. Now you've already seen the gorgeous Shanice shade. Say hello, Shanice. So, oh, she's not very, she's a bit shy today. You've already seen Shanice in whatever it was I inserted at the beginning of this video, whatever little funny clip of me being silly. But Shanice is a dolly that I prepped recently for the first ever UK Redken live event, which was Redken on stage at the brand new Academy here in London. And basically, there are two different Shades EQ formulas on here. I was hosting the Shades EQ zone, if you like, at the event. Amazing. The two different formulas on Shanice's head. I'm going to call her Shanice all the way through this video. And one is violet, this side is violet, and this side is pearl. Now, maybe you've never used Shades EQ gloss before. Maybe you've got friends, colleagues that use it, and you don't know very much about it. Or maybe you've used Shades EQ gloss for years and years and years, like I have. I've been using it for 25 years, over that now probably. And you want to know the main differences between the two. Well, we're going to get into that, and I'm going to give you lots of formula tips as well. And even if you don't use Shades EQ gloss, or maybe you're a consumer at home and you want some tips for toning your bleached hair, there's going to be loads in this video. But first of all, let's have a quick look at how I went about the process of toning the gorgeous Shanice's hair. Hello, yes, it's me, voiceover Craig. Now let's have a look at our canvas before we apply any colour. Shanice is a level 9.5, which is an ideal starting point for an icy blonde result. I've parted her hair into two, and on this side I'm going to apply a pearl formula, and on the other side a violet one. So my root shadow on the first side is quite simply 9p mixed 1:1 with processing solution. And on the opposite side, it's 9v platinum ice, again mixed in the same way. Taking another look at those root shadow applications, you can already see the tone of the direct dye in Shades EQ beginning to develop. Mixing up fresh product for the mid-lengths, I used 1 part of each shade and 2 parts of clear. This shears out the tone, but we'll get into that later on in the video. I applied that to the mid-lengths before adding a tiny little bit more clear to the rest of my formula in my bowl before applying that to the very ends. Once again, looking into the bowls, once I've finished the application, you can clearly see the difference between the violet and the pearl. Then, of course, we process for 20 minutes for maximum deposit. And then we see Shanice's gorgeous result. And again, you can clearly see on each side, that's the pearl result. And then on the opposite side, you can see the violet. The violet is zingier and brighter in my opinion, and the pearl is slightly more grey. Both very beautiful results, but there is a theory behind why they look the way they do. And I've got loads of top tips to share with you, so keep on watching. Let's get back to me and the gorgeous Shanice. We're back, and that was some insight into the process of applying both of these different formulas. Now, let's get into these different series and what the backgrounds and the pigments of those actually are. Just to mention here that although I'm talking specifically about Shades EQ gloss, and this is pearl and this is violet, most families, most hair colour brands that make demi-permanent colours, the colours will be similar. So these kind of rules apply and what you apply them to, regardless of the brand. They're not exactly the same. I'm not saying that they're the same. I did have a little look on the Tinterweb this morning, and just to have a look and refresh my memory of what some other lines, other colour houses, demi-permanent colours contain. So these rules do kind of apply whatever you're using them for. And if you're doing your own hair at home and you're toning your bleach, again, these rules do kind of apply if you're buying something from the drugstore, okay? So, as I've already mentioned, we have violet, lots of information to get across here. So excuse me if I'm fitting lots of stuff in. On this side we have violet, and on this side we have pearl. I have already checked if that comes across on the video, and I think the two colours, and you've already seen them in the process back there. I think that comes across on the screen. Shades EQ gloss is made up of, okay, a background tone, often, not always, we'll get into in a second, and then the pigments in the colour itself. I'm going to put on the screen here the background chart. I'm sure this can be found online somewhere. If you're new to the product, then it's invaluable that you have a look at this, I think. I know that the Redken grid has some really great breakdowns. They have like little graphics of bottles of Shades EQ gloss and what the breakdown of the pigment is. Because if you know what the pigment is in the colour, then you know what to use it on and to get the best results, because that's what hair colouring is all about. It's all about a colour wheel. And we all know, which I'll put down here just in case none of you have ever seen it before, but it's all about a colour wheel and understanding what the opposite of that is, or what the complementary of that is, etc, etc. So the underlying pigments are on screen, okay? So we have the violet here, and very interestingly, in Shades EQ Gloss, when it was first formulated, the violet series has no background. So it's basically pure violet tone. And you can see that if I hold this up to screen here, you can see that there's a very definite violet hue, okay? You saw in the video that the gorgeous Shanice was about a level 9-ish before we started. So this formula here is just the Shades EQ Gloss 9V on its own, mixed with Process and Solution 1:1, as you saw in the video. And you can see the violet hue there, but there's nothing else in the V series except for violet. Then on this side, we have the pearl, okay? And you can see with the naked eye, really, I hope it's coming across on camera, that this has a grey tone to it. And that's because the base of the P's is grey. Okay, so this has no background, it's just pure violet, but the background of the P's is grey. Then it has blue as the primary tone in it, and then it has a soft violet. So it's a grey base with blue and violet. And I think that if I hold this back here, you can see that the P definitely reads more as grey, and the violet definitely reads more as violet. Yes? Okay. So when would you use these tones, really? I think it kind of makes sense now that I've explained that, hopefully. Because the violet is the opposite of yellow, if you're using, as Shanice was, a level 9 before I applied these colours, you can see that the 9V is definitely more zingy than the 9P. They're both beautiful colours. I'm not saying that I don't even have a favourite. I like them both. I do use a lot more 9V on lighter levels when I'm toning Global Lightener, because my Global Lightening clients like their hair to be zingy and bright and have that kind of soft violet reflection. Just to mention here, I did also go through that in the application process, but this was diluted with clear and this was diluted with clear as well. But you can see here in the P that it reads more as grey. So really, if your client wants a zingier result, I keep using that word, but it's a good one, a brighter, icier blonde toner formula, then the violet is something to definitely go for. And if you have somebody that wants maybe perhaps a slightly edgier, slightly greyer, then there is the P, okay? So there's the two results again, the violet and then the pearl. Both level 9s, sheared out here with clear, etc, etc. But I have some more huge Shades EQ Gloss V and P toning shares. Let's look at those. Now, before we get into my huge formula and top tip share, just to mention that all colour, whether it's hair colour or the colour of tops, is subjective. Some of you might think this is orange, some of you might think it's yellow. It's fine. You see colour how you see colour. We all see things differently. I would think perhaps twice about leaving a comment that could be quite negative, saying that that's not that colour, that's this colour. But other than that, colour is subjective. The end. So, and also, if you're into Shades EQ Gloss or you want to know loads more about it, I have a playlist here on my channel that is full of Shades EQ Gloss videos. It pops up in lots of different series here on my channel, so I put it all in a playlist so you can find it really simply. And then also there's my Instagram, which has more Shades EQ Gloss and hair day to day. And if you've enjoyed this video and find it helpful, if you're enjoying this video and find it helpful, you know exactly what to do. So, a big formulating tip. In my opinion, the P's, because they have that grey, that blue, and a little bit of violet, aren't necessarily the best thing to use on hair that is very yellow. okay, because they are grey. Grey is next to black, so it's quite powerful. Both of these violet and pearl tones are very powerful, okay, they're very pigmented. So in my opinion, not the best thing to put onto very yellow hair. But if your client likes this kind of slightly edgier, in my opinion, grey result on a global process, or over the top of balayage or highlights, it's equally as nice over partial colouring, then what you would do, or what I would do, is I would basically make a mix that is 1 part 9V, 1 part 9P, and then I would probably add clear to the mix as well, because I've already said they're very pigmented. Maybe I'd have a part of 9V, 1 part of 9P, and 2 parts piece of clear. Clear is an invaluable part. There's a video about that here on my channel about why clear is so important to have to mix in with all the shades, especially on global lightener. And that would give you something that is sheerer, and it has the edginess of the grey of the P, and then it has the zinginess of the icy violet in order to cancel out that yellow. So you get the result you want, but you still get something that has that slightly more grey edge to it. A couple of top tips here as well, toner tips. And this toner tip applies to whatever brand of colour you're using, whatever you're putting it onto. If you want to get the maximum pigment payoff, the product must be used by following manufacturer's guidelines. It doesn't matter what you're using, if it's an express toner, if it's Shades EQ gloss, if it's a cream-based toner, whatever it is, you must follow manufacturer's guidelines to get the best results and the most longevity. And then secondly, a huge tip, okay? Say for instance, we know, don't we? We know that Shanice was a level 9, okay, before a level, very yellow level 9, very golden, before I applied these colours. And if you look at the roots here, where I have got maximum pigmentation, that was 9P and 9V on its own, and that has max deposit and the max cancellation of that yellow. If you want to cancel out something, cancel out, neutralise a tone, you must tone on the level. So that means here where I've used that level 9, I have got the maximum cancellation. And yes, this is reading slightly as violet because it's very pigmented. Remember that Shades EQ Gloss 9P. And this is reading as slightly grey because the 9P is also very pigmented with that grey background. So if you want to cancel something out, for instance, if Shanice's hair was a level 8, then I would have made the formula on a level 8 to get the complete neutralization and cancellation. Lots of long words, lots of information. So that's it for our look at Violet and Pearl. If that has brought up lots of questions, then remember that here on my channel, it's lots of information. So if you've got to the end of the video, I really appreciate that and thank you very much for watching. But if you have a question, remember here on my channel, you leave a comment. I will always, always, always reply. We don't do nasty comments here on the World of Craig, but if you have a comment, leave it down below and I will always get back to you. As I've mentioned before, well, as you probably know now, I could talk about Shades EQ Gloss until the cows come home. I pretty much use it every day when I'm in the salon. And that playlist, which is full of lots of Shades EQ Gloss focused videos, I will link down below. How quickly can I say Shades EQ Gloss? Anyway. And I have an Instagram as well, which is full of my hair day to day, which you can check out there. And you know what to do. Once again, if you've enjoyed this video, it really helps me out if you do like this. And if you do subscribe, that you turn on your notifications so you get notified when a new video goes up, which is pretty much at the moment weekly. Once again, a huge thanks for watching and I will see you all in the next one.